What's up, guys? Mickle here, and there's been a pretty major narrative going around recently, and even within the XRP community, that the big banks are never going to use XRP. Ripple has pivoted away from banks. Banks are no longer part of the equation. Guys, I have been saying for a very long time that I think this narrative is completely wrong. Well, in this video, I want to show you a brand new clip that just got released that is going to prove that there is no way at all Ripple is pivoting away from banks, and in fact, they are getting some major traction now that the case is over. This is a clip you are not going to want to miss. Also, towards the end of the video, I want to get into some conspiratorial stuff. We just saw a brand new clip of one of the most important people at the Federal Reserve talking about incoming cyber attacks. Guys, I want to show you exactly how Ripple might go right into this equation. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see that. This is a fascinating clip. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start this video off and just quickly go over something that just got released, and this is pretty exciting. It's something the XRP community has been waiting on for a while now, and that is the test results for the AMM added to the XRP ledger. Now, this is something a lot of the validators wanted to see before actually voting on whether or not AMMs would go live on the XRP ledger. Now, I'm not going to lie, I am not an expert in understanding these numbers. From what I'm understanding based on looking at this, and I am no expert like I just said, it looks like AMMs will put some load on the ledger. It might decrease the max transactions the XRP ledger could handle per second by about half. But the good news is we're already not even close to reaching that level of transactions per second, and it's very likely in the future, if we do need to add more transactions per second, we can add other upgrades to the XRP ledger so that this limitation of the AMM won't actually ever be an issue. Now, all that still needs to get sorted out, but I want to talk about the benefits of an AMM real quick, and that is adding more liquidity to the XRP ledger. One of the biggest issues right now on the XRP ledger is the decentralized exchange really isn't being used that much, and there's no pools of liquidity. One of the most important things that some of the biggest networks have are pools of liquidity that can be used to trade assets against one another. This is going to be critical in the future as the XRP ledger becomes a neutral settlement layer between different currencies. What liquidity pools and AMMs will allow is for different countries to create pools between their two currencies and trade instantaneously between those two currencies. This will allow Ripple to use their ODL model in a way that doesn't leverage centralized exchanges, making it faster, more efficient, and an overall better product for anyone trying to utilize it. Overall, this is a very exciting development coming to the XRP ledger. It will give us ways to earn actual yield on our XRP. We'll be able to loan it out to these pools, and I think it's going to offer a whole bunch of DeFi capabilities that we have never had before. These tests were important steps in showing the validators that it's not something that's going to be overly detrimental to the network. These tests were very important to proving to the validators that this will not put too much load on the network, and the benefits I was just talking about will in fact be worth it. So it was just cool to finally see this data released. And I'll definitely do some more updates in the future with some more experts' opinions on this. Like I said, I just took a brief look at it and I gave you guys what I was able to deem from it. So let's keep moving, and now I want to talk about the narrative that banks are pivoting away from something like Ripple. Ripple is pivoting away from the banks. They're not going to work together. This has been a narrative that has been talked about so much, especially by some of the really smart people in our community that I have a ton of respect for. And this is not some got you like, oh, you were wrong on this. This is more just me saying, I have been saying for a while now the banks are not pivoting away from Ripple. Ripple is not pivoting away from the banks. And I just want to show you proof that the banks are telling you right here, we still want to use Ripple. Ripple is still pitching their products to us, because I think this is really important for everyone to understand, so we can kind of get rid of this narrative that they're not moving away from one another. Listen up to this and then we'll break it down.
Notice.
Right.
And again, I'm not an expert on it, but I understand they approached us some time ago, but at the time they were battling some legal battle in the US.
Yes.
And our position to them was, look, come back to us once that's sorted out, because you only get one chance at a first impression, and if this court case doesn't go well for you, it wasn't really good. So anyway, they got a good result in the US court case, and they approached us again, and look, we're going to have a bit more of a look at it. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on it, but we may look to promote their product, and again, it'll be buyer beware. We'll say to our members, look, here's this new technology. From what I can understand, it can generate real-time transfer of payments, and they seem to have a lot of checks and balances in place. At the briefing that I was at, where I did that post, there was a lot of representatives from the major banks that were very interested in it. So it is a real thing.
That's right.
But how that translates to meaningful solutions for our members, we'll only understand that in a bit more time.
There was a lot of representatives from the major banks, and then you heard him say that the court case was the reason why we really held off using Ripple's products. Guys, this is something that I've been saying on this channel for such a long time. None of the big institutions were going to work with Ripple until the case was over. This is what he just told you. He said he was interested in using Ripple's technology using XRP, but because of the court case, there was just a lot of uncertainty. Now that that case is over, they're reevaluating their position. And what's the other thing he said? There was a lot of major banks at this conference also looking at Ripple's products. Guys, Ripple is not pivoting away from banks. Banks are very conservative institutions, and they were not going to work with Ripple when they were tied up in the SEC case. Ripple was able to work with some more risk-on companies like money transmitters who could afford to work with Ripple during the case, but banks had to be very conservative. Now that the case is over, though, that dynamic is changing rapidly, and what we see is these banks definitely have a use case for using Ripple and XRP. You could see the way he emphasized the need for instantaneous payments. He said it like that's something that's not available in the current system, and it's really not. But what he is telling you is that they have a need for this technology, and the only reason they haven't leveraged it yet was because of the ongoing case. This is something I have been talking about for such a long time, and like I said, I always give you guys my best opinions, my best thoughts on the reason some of this stuff is happening, but I can never know for sure. This is a really important data point in proving that what I have been saying really has been spot on. These banks and major institutions need Ripple's technology. They need XRP to transform their payment system. We have seen a slow rollout of this because essentially Ripple's been held back by one of the biggest regulators in the entire world and the most important financial ecosystem in the United States. But now Ripple has beat the SEC, and now XRP has the clarity for these institutions to use it. They are going to start looking at this product completely differently now. And the most conservative institutions, the ones with the most money, the big banks who were scared to touch the product before, are now going to have some clarity to actually start experimenting with it. Now all we need to be proven right on is the tech. Is the tech actually going to be transformational? Is it actually going to transform their payment flows? And is it going to be something they want to utilize more in the future? In my personal opinion, that is a big fat yes. Ripple got past the regulators. They can no longer hold them back, and now it just comes to whether or not their products are as good as we think they are. In my opinion, this is the easy part. This is where they're really going to start blowing people out of the water, but I just think this is such an important thing to understand because so many people, especially very smart people in this community, have been saying for so long, Ripple is not working with the banks anymore. It's not going to happen. They are telling you right here, Ripple is working with the banks. They are meeting with the banks. They are meeting with Ripple, and they are looking forward to expanding that role into the future. I am super excited to see where this goes. Not only is Ripple working with these banks, but they're also working with the central banks. So I think things can really start moving fast now that Ripple has the clarity, and that is exactly what this guy was saying. And I want to finish this video off and go on a little bit of a more conspiratorial clip. Cyber attacks are something that have been talked about in the XRP community for a very long time, and it was always coming from these weird players that really didn't have that much credibility on the global scale. It was always at these conferences that always seemed to got brought up time after time, but were never that recent. But this is a brand new clip from the head of the Federal Reserve directly talking about what a cyber attack could do. And I want you to listen to what he says multiple times in a row, because you're going to hear him keep mentioning Ripple over and over and over again. And not Ripple the company, Ripple the word, but it might hit a little different if I told you that this guy talking, this high up official at the Federal Reserve, used to work for Ripple. Just listen up to this clip and I'm going to let you draw your own conclusions. But this is one of the things that I heard, and I don't fall a lot into this conspiracy stuff, but this is one of the few things I heard that really made me say, huh, that's kind of funny right there. Listen up to this.
The financial risk, but interconnection in this space is also particularly important. So, so how do you think about this interconnections within the financial system in terms of the cost or the impact on the financial system?
Well, first of all, Lisa, I think you're absolutely right. When you think about cyber risk, there are two kinds of risks or costs to the system. There's the direct cost. There's a problem, an incursion. You need to address the incursion. You need to put a patch in place. Those are relatively modest costs in the scheme of things. But the real big risks and costs are the interconnectedness risks that you described. So if you think about, our financial system is really tightly interwoven. And if we have a really bad cyber attack at a major institution, that can have ripple effects throughout the financial system. Could be through the payment system channel, it could be through liquidity provision channels. And so those ripple effects can be very, very large. If a bank has to cut itself off in order to protect the rest of the system from a cyber attack, that cutting off has ripple effects that could cause bank failures. And so we really need to be super attentive, not just to the immediate risks of a cyber attack, but to these potential ripple effects because of the tightly interconnected nature of the financial system.
That was a lot of the use of the word ripple effects in that statement. It was only a minute clip. We heard Ripple 4 times. This guy used to work for Ripple, and it also plays directly into the cyber attack narrative that has been being talked about for years that XRP would eventually emerge out of. Whether or not I believe this is all connected, not really. Still thought it was really interesting though, and I think it's definitely something to keep our eye on because I do think a cyber attack is 100% realistic. And if that does happen, do we see a new system on the other side? Let me know down in the comments below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.